The massive Imperial scout ship emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system, its dark hull gleaming against the backdrop of stars. On their advanced screens, the Imperial scouts observed the blue planet with mild interest. Their databases had marked this system for routine inspection, but what they found made them pause. Artificial satellites, reported First Observer Davis, his purple eyes narrowing at the displays. Primitive ones, but they're everywhere. And look at these energy readings from the surface. The scout commander nodded slowly. Life signs. Billions of them. And they're using technology. Crude, but definitely beyond basic industrial level. The scout commander straightened in his chair. This was no ordinary discovery. In the 10,000 years of the Empire's existence, they had encountered many species, but few had achieved spaceflight independently, even at this basic level. Back on Earth, the first signs of the alien presence came through civilian telescopes. Within hours, every major news network was broadcasting the same message. We are not alone. The United Earth government convened an emergency session in their underground facility in Geneva. Military leaders, politicians, and scientists gathered around the massive circular table, their faces illuminated by holographic displays showing the alien vessel. "They're just sitting there," General Williams said, his weathered face tight with concern. "Watching us." "Then let's give them something to watch," said Admiral Walker. He stood at the head of the table, his posture straight despite his 60 years of age. "I suggest we show them that we know they're there." A measured response. Professional. Military. The voting was quick. Humanity had prepared for this moment for decades. 24 hours later, Earth's first official contact message was broadcast toward the Imperial vessel. Simple mathematical sequences, followed by basic language primers. Humanity's traditional first contact protocol. The Empire's response came faster than anyone expected. Their ship descended into orbit, with casual disregard for Earth's military satellites. The message they sent was clear, broadcast simultaneously in every human language. "Greetings, primitive species. Your world has been noticed by the eternal Galactic Empire. Prepare for inspection and integration." In the UEG chamber, faces darkened at the translation. Primitive. Admiral Walker's voice was dangerously quiet. "They haven't done their homework, have they?" The Empire's delegation arrived 3 days later, landing their shuttle in the designated zone outside Geneva. They emerged wearing ornate armor that seemed more decorative than functional, their purple skin and tall frames drawing gasps from the human crowds watching from behind security barriers. The Imperial ambassador, flanked by guards, approached the human delegation with an air of casual superiority. His translator device hummed as he spoke. "We are pleased to see you maintained adequate order during our arrival," he said, not bothering with formal greetings. "The Empire will expect the same level of compliance during your species integration process." Admiral Walker stepped forward, his diplomatic smile not reaching his eyes. "Perhaps we should discuss terms first. Earth has its own laws and sovereignty." The ambassador's laugh was like crystal chimes. "Laws, sovereignty. Your species has barely reached your own moon. The Empire has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. We have encountered hundreds of species like yours. The process is simple. You will submit, or we will make you submit." In the crowd, a child's voice piped up. "But what if we don't want to?" The ambassador turned, his expression one of genuine amusement. "Want to? Little creature, you don't understand. The Empire doesn't ask. We have never lost a war in our entire history." That's when Admiral Walker's smile changed, becoming something ancient and predatory. "Never lost a war," he said softly. "That's because you've never met humans before." Behind him, General Williams was already sending the coded message to all Earth's military commands. "Protocol Thermopylae is now active. All units to battle stations. This is not a drill." The Empire was about to learn why humans had warned them to run. The meeting room in Geneva's United Earth Government building fell silent as Admiral Walker stood before the Imperial delegation. Behind him, a massive screen covered the wall. The Imperial ambassador sat with his aides, their purple faces showing bored expressions. "Before you make any final decisions about Earth," Walker said calmly, "we would like to show you something." The ambassador waved his hand lazily. "If this is another display of your primitive achievements." "No," Walker cut him off. "This is a warning." The screen came to life. Images began to play, old footage, carefully restored. The beaches of Normandy, 1944, tanks rolling across deserts, aircraft carriers in vast oceans, nuclear explosions lighting up skies. "This was us," Walker explained, 200 years ago. The Imperial delegation shifted uncomfortably as more images appeared. Modern warfare, orbital defense platforms, the Mars colonies, underground cities, quantum computing facilities. "This is us now," Walker continued. 2 centuries. That's how long it took us to go from fighting with primitive firearms to reaching the stars. One of the Imperial scientists leaned forward, his purple skin paling slightly. "Impossible. No species develops that quickly." Walker smiled. "We do. Would you like to know why?" He pressed another button. The screen showed new images, humans fighting humans. Wars throughout history, because we never stopped fighting. Not once in our entire history. We've had peace, yes, but we never stopped preparing for war. The ambassador's translator crackled as he spoke. "You show us images of your species killing itself, and you expect this to impress us?" "No," Walker replied. "I expected to warn you. You see, there's something unique about humans. When we fight each other, we advance. We innovate. We adapt." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Every war made us stronger, smarter, more dangerous." General Williams stepped forward, adding his voice to Walker's. "Your empire has never lost a war because you've never fought anyone who could truly fight back. Your technology is impressive, yes, but it's stable, unchanging. You haven't needed to improve it for thousands of years." The screen changed again, showing Earth's hidden military installations, vast underground factories, orbital shipyards disguised as civilian stations, weapon systems that had never been revealed to the public. "This," Walker said, pointing to the screen, "is just what we built while fighting ourselves. Imagine what we'll create when we have an actual enemy." For the first time, the ambassador's confident expression wavered. "These are lies. Propaganda." Walker shook his head. "Remember what you said about never losing a war. Well, we've never fought a war we couldn't eventually win. Even when we lost battles, even when we faced opponents with better technology or more resources, we adapted. We learned. We came back stronger." He walked closer to the Imperial delegation. "Right now, you're thinking your ships are more advanced. Your weapons are more powerful. And you're right. But ask yourself this. How long will that advantage last once we start fighting back? How long before we understand your technology? Before we improve it?" The room was completely silent now. The Imperial scientists were whispering urgently to each other, their eyes fixed on the display of human military advancement rates. "This isn't a threat," Walker said softly. "This is a genuine warning from one intelligent species to another. If you start this war, you won't be fighting our weapons. You'll be fighting our entire history, every lesson we learned from thousands of years of warfare, every innovation born from conflict, every strategy tested in blood." He turned off the screen, leaving the room in dim light. "We don't want war. We're willing to join your empire peacefully, as equals. But if you force us to fight..." He let the sentence hang in the air. The ambassador stood abruptly. "The empire does not negotiate with primitive species. We will return tomorrow. You will submit, or face the consequences." As the Imperial delegation left the room, General Williams turned to Walker. "They didn't listen. Walker watched the doors close behind the aliens. No, they never do. Send the order. Activate everything. If they want to learn about human warfare the hard way, we'll give them a lesson they'll never forget. Above Earth, hidden defense systems began powering up. In underground bases, soldiers moved to their stations. The Empire was about to learn why humans had spent so long preparing for a war they hoped would never come. The Imperial fleet arrived at dawn. 500 warships emerged from hyperspace, their massive hulls blocking out the stars. Each ship was larger than Earth's biggest cities, their golden armor gleaming in the sunlight. On Earth's surface, millions watched their screens in silence as humanity's first alien invasion began. In the United Earth Defense Command Center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Walker watched the tactical display with calm eyes. They brought enough ships to conquer 10 planets, General Williams observed, standing beside him. Walker nodded. They want to make an example of us. Status of our visible defenses. 20 orbital stations, all showing normal power readings, exactly what they expect to see from a primitive species. The Imperial commander's message boomed across all frequencies. People of Earth, your time for submission has ended. The Empire will now demonstrate the price of defiance. The first wave of Imperial ships moved forward. Their weapons charged, golden energy building at their tips. The orbital stations above Earth looked tiny and weak in comparison. They're targeting our orbital defense platforms, reported Lieutenant Rogers from her monitoring station. As expected, Walker picked up his coffee cup, his hand steady. Let them believe they're winning. All stations maintain minimal power. Show fear. Make it convincing. The Imperial ships opened fire. Massive beams of energy struck Earth's orbital stations. The explosions lit up the sky like new stars being born. Across the planet, people watched in horror as their seemingly only defenses were destroyed. In the Imperial command ship, the fleet commander smiled, as expected from primitives. Their defenses are worthless. His subordinate checked the readings. Sir, their military bases are scrambling aircraft. Primitive fighters and ground-based missiles are being launched. Let them come, the commander said. Let them see how futile their resistance is. Earth's visible military forces responded exactly as a frightened, primitive species should. Jets took to the sky, firing missiles that barely scratched the Imperial ship's shields. Ground-based defenses launched everything they had, creating an impressive but ineffective display. The Imperial fleet began their planned descent into Earth's atmosphere. 500 ships, moving in perfect formation, ready to begin the ground invasion. That's when Admiral Walker finally put down his coffee cup. They're in position, General Williams reported. All ships are inside the atmosphere. Walker pressed a single button on his command console. Execute Operation Thunderbolt. Across Earth, hidden bunkers opened. From the depths of oceans, concealed bases activated. In orbit, cloaked satellites powered up. The trap was sprung. The first sign that something was wrong came when the Imperial ship shields flickered. Their advanced sensors, designed to detect energy weapons, were blind to Earth's specially designed electromagnetic pulse weapons. Status report, the Imperial commander demanded as his ship's systems began failing. Unknown energy pattern, his science officer shouted. It's not in any of our databases. Shields are failing across the fleet. Through the chaos, Admiral Walker's voice broadcasted on all Imperial channels. You thought we would put our real defenses where you could see them. Humanity learned about deception thousands of years ago. The second wave of Earth's attack began. Hidden orbital launchers fired thousands of kinetic penetrators. Simple tungsten rods accelerated to near-relativistic speeds. Against ships with failed shields, they were devastating. 20 Imperial ships destroyed. Lieutenant Rogers reported. 50 more have lost power and are falling from the sky. The Imperial fleet's perfect formation shattered. Ships tried to retreat, but Earth's atmosphere was now charged with particles that prevented hyperspace jumps. They were trapped. Launch the fighters, Walker ordered. From hidden bases across the planet, Earth's real military forces emerged. Sleek fighters with technology the Empire had never seen before, weapons developed in secret, tested and refined over decades of preparation. The Imperial commander watched in horror as his mighty fleet was torn apart by what he had dismissed as primitives. Impossible. Your technology. You couldn't have hidden this. Walker's response was calm. We warned you about humans. We told you to run. Now, you'll understand why. As the battle raged in Earth's skies, one thing became clear. The Empire's first defeat in 10,000 years had begun, and humanity was just getting started. The Imperial High Command received the news of their fleet's defeat with stunned silence. In 10,000 years of Empire history, no such disaster had ever occurred. 300 ships destroyed, 200 captured, and not a single human orbital defense platform actually eliminated. They had all been decoys. "Play it again," ordered the Imperial High Commander to his staff. They watched the battle footage for the 10th time, trying to understand how they had been so completely outmaneuvered. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Walker stood in the Global Command Center, addressing the military leaders of every nation. The wall-sized screens showed the aftermath of their victory. Disabled Imperial ships being towed to secure facilities, crews being detained, and most importantly, their technology being studied. Phase 1 is complete, Walker announced. Now we show them what humanity is truly capable of. General Williams stepped forward with a holographic display. Our engineers have already begun reverse engineering their shield technology. But here's what's interesting. Their tech hasn't evolved in centuries. They never needed to improve it. In orbit, teams of human scientists swarmed over the captured Imperial vessels. What the Empire had thought would be a simple conquest was turning into their worst nightmare. Their advanced technology in the hands of a species that specialized in adaptation and improvement. "Sir," Lieutenant Rogers called out, "the Empire's second fleet has been detected. They're gathering at the edge of our solar system. Initial count shows 2,000 ships." Walker nodded calmly. "They're angry." "Good. Activate Project Prometheus." Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility unknown even to most world governments, a quantum computer core powered up. Humanity's secret weapon, an AI designed specifically for warfare, built using technology the Empire couldn't even comprehend. "Project Prometheus Online," announced the AI's calm voice through the command center speakers. "Analysis of Imperial tactics complete. Their battle formations haven't changed in 4,000 years. Their response patterns are predictable." The Empire's second fleet approached with caution, their sensors scanning for the weapons that had destroyed their first attack force. But humans had already changed their tactics. "Launch the Ghost Fleet," Walker ordered. From hidden shipyards on Mars and beneath Earth's oceans, humanity's real warships emerged. They were smaller than the Imperial vessels, but incorporated both human innovation and stolen Imperial technology. Each ship was controlled by a branch of Project Prometheus, their reactions faster than any living pilot could manage. The Imperial Admiral of the Second Fleet watched in disbelief as his sensors detected the human ships. "Impossible. They're ships. They're using our own shield technology, but it's been modified. Enhanced." Not just enhanced. Walker's voice transmitted across space. "Improved. You gave us the foundation, and in just days, we made it better. That's what humans do." The battle that followed wasn't even close. The Ghost Fleet moved in patterns the Empire had never seen, using tactics developed through thousands of simulated battles. Project Prometheus predicted every Imperial response before it happened. "Enemy ships targeting our lead vessels," Prometheus reported, "adjusting shield frequencies, deploying countermeasures they haven't even invented yet." The Empire's mighty fleet found itself fighting an enemy that seemed to know their every move before they made it. Worse, the humans' weapons and defenses were evolving during the battle itself, adapting to every Imperial tactic. "Sir," Lieutenant Rogers reported, "the enemy fleet is retreating." 80% of their ships destroyed or disabled. No casualties on our side. Walker turned to the assembled leaders. Now they know. But this isn't over. The Empire won't accept defeat easily. They'll come back with everything they have. General Williams smiled grimly. Good. More ships to capture. More technology to improve. In the debris field that was once the Empire's second fleet, human ships began collecting samples and prisoners. Each piece of Imperial technology would be studied, improved, and turned against its makers. The Quantum Eye's voice echoed through the command center. Based on Imperial communication patterns, they will launch a full-scale invasion within 1 month. Probability of human victory, 98.7%. Walker looked at the tactical display, showing human forces spreading throughout the solar system. We warned them to run. Now we'll show them why. Activate Phase 3. Operation Starfall. The sleeping giant wasn't just awake now. It was hunting. The Empire's War Council gathered in their grand palace on their capital world. The massive chamber, usually a place of calm planning, was now filled with angry voices and fearful whispers. On the central display, footage of their latest defeat played on repeat. 3 star systems lost in 7 days, one general announced, his voice shaking. They're not fighting like any species we've encountered before. The Imperial High Commander slammed his fist on the table. They're fighting like barbarians. They don't follow any proper rules of war. Meanwhile, in deep space, a small human stealth ship drifted silently near an Imperial supply route. Inside, Commander Taylor and his crew watched their targets through advanced sensors. "Sir," whispered the sensor operator, "enemy supply convoy approaching. 20 cargo ships, 5 escorts." Taylor smiled. Just like Earth's old submarine warfare, they'd never learn. He pressed his comm button. All ships in position. From the darkness of space, confirmations came from 5 other hidden vessels. 6 ships against 25. To the Empire, such odds would be suicide. To humans, it was just another Tuesday. "Execute Plan Wolfpack," Taylor ordered. The human ships struck from multiple directions at once. Their weapons, enhanced versions of stolen Imperial technology, cut through the escort's shields like they weren't even there. The cargo ships, packed with supplies for the Empire's main fleet, never stood a chance. Back on Earth, Admiral Walker watched multiple similar operations occurring across 3 star systems. On his tactical display, dozens of small human task forces were wreaking havoc on Imperial supply lines. Report from Project Prometheus, Lieutenant Rogers announced. "Our guerrilla tactics are working. The Empire's main fleet is stuck without supplies. They can't advance or retreat effectively." Walker nodded. They built their entire military assuming they'd always be the stronger force. They never learned to fight from a position of weakness. He turned to General Williams. "How are our new weapons performing?" Williams brought up a holographic display. "The reversed engineered Imperial tech combined with our innovations is exceeding expectations. Every battle gives us more data, and Prometheus keeps improving our systems." Across space, the Empire was learning painful lessons about human warfare. Their massive fleets, designed for grand battles in open space, were being picked apart by hit-and-run attacks. Their secure communications were being hacked by AI systems that evolved faster than their security could adapt. In another sector, an Imperial battle group found themselves under attack by what seemed to be a much larger human force. They didn't realize until too late that most of the enemy ships were holograms, a trick humans had perfected centuries ago in their own wars. "This is madness," the Imperial fleet commander shouted as another supply base reported its destruction. "They're not fighting properly. They hide, they trick, they strike and vanish." Through their quantum communication network, Project Prometheus coordinated every human ship with perfect precision. The AI had studied every war in human history and combined ancient tactics with modern technology. "Sir," Lieutenant Rogers reported to Walker, The Empire is pulling their forces back to protect their core worlds. They've lost control of the outer systems. Just as expected, Walker replied. They're learning that size doesn't matter if you can't bring your force to bear. He turned to the tactical display. Launch Operation Thunder Run. Across 3 star systems, human forces suddenly changed tactics. Small stealth ships combined into larger battle groups. The confusion this caused in Imperial Command was exactly what humanity had planned for. They think we're gathering for a major battle, Walker explained to his staff. Instead, at that moment, hundreds of small, automated drones launched from the human ships. Each carried a payload of advanced electronic warfare systems. As they scattered across Imperial space, their defensive networks began to collapse. All projects reporting success, Prometheus announced. Imperial command and control systems are compromised. Their coordination is failing. They cannot effectively respond to our next phase of attacks. Walker looked at the battle display with grim satisfaction. Humanity spent thousands of years fighting itself, learning every possible way to win against superior forces. Now the Empire learns why we warned them. The Empire had started this war expecting an easy victory over primitives. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy that turned their every advantage against them, using tactics they had never imagined possible. And humanity was just getting started. The Imperial Palace's war room was dark, lit only by emergency power. Outside, the capital world's defenses were on full alert. The High Command gathered around their tactical table, watching as another frontline system went dark. 5 months, the Imperial High Commander whispered. In just 5 months, these humans have done what no species has managed in 10,000 years. On the main screen, footage from various battles played, each showing a different way their mighty empire had been humbled. A junior officer stepped forward, his hand shaking as he delivered the latest report. High Command, we've decoded more of their battle communications. It's disturbing. He loaded the data onto the main display. They're using tactics from their past wars, something called Blitzkrieg from their Second World War, naval warfare from their Pacific campaign, guerrilla tactics from dozens of their conflicts. The Empire's finest military minds watched in horror as the analysis continued. Every human attack was based on something they had perfected fighting themselves. Centuries of warfare, refined and adapted for space combat. Meanwhile, at the edge of Imperial space, Admiral Walker stood on the bridge of Earth's new flagship, the EFS Humanity's Vengeance. The massive ship, built using improved Imperial technology, represented everything the Empire feared about humans: rapid adaptation and improvement of existing designs. Prometheus, status report, Walker commanded. The AI's voice filled the bridge. Imperial forces are withdrawing from 87% of contested systems. Their command structure is showing signs of complete breakdown. They no longer trust their own communication networks. General Williams, now commanding the ground forces invading Imperial worlds, appeared on the main screen. Admiral, you need to see this. We're capturing their military academies intact. Their training hasn't changed in thousands of years. They teach the same tactics, the same responses, over and over. Walker nodded grimly. A warrior culture that forgot how to adapt. They've been the strongest for so long, they never learned how to fight smarter. In the Imperial Palace, the High Command watched another demonstration of human ingenuity. A single human ship had just destroyed an entire Imperial battle group by triggering their sun to release a massive solar flare. The humans had somehow predicted it and positioned the Imperial fleet perfectly in its path. How? Demanded the Imperial High Commander. How do they keep coming up with new ways to fight? His science advisor, hands trembling, pulled up the latest analysis. Sir, we've been studying their history, their entire species. War drove their evolution. Every major technological advancement they made came from conflict. They developed powered flight, then immediately used it for war. They split the atom, then made it into a weapon. They reached space because of a competition between rival powers. The tactical officer interrupted. New attack. They're using our own ships against us now. Captured vessels, upgraded with their technology. Our recognition codes can't tell friend from foe anymore. On the main display, they watched as human forces systematically dismantled the defenses of another core world. Their tactics seemed to change with every battle, making it impossible to predict their next move. The Imperial High Commander slumped in his chair. We should have listened for their warning. All our power, all our technology. We never imagined a species could advance so quickly, adapt so fast. Sir, his aide said quietly, the human admiral is broadcasting on all frequencies. Walker's voice filled the Imperial Command Center. You've lost 3 core worlds. Your fleets are in chaos. Your supply lines are cut. We can continue this war, keep demonstrating why we warned you to run. Or you can do what no empire has done in 10,000 years. Admit defeat and talk peace. The room fell silent. 10,000 years of victory, ended by a species they had dismissed as primitive. The High Commander looked at the casualty reports, the lost territories, the shattered fleets. Finally, he spoke. Send the message. Tell them. Tell them we're ready to discuss terms. In his flagship, Walker received the Empire's surrender request. Humanity had won its first interstellar war, but more importantly, they had taught the galaxy a lesson about underestimating those they considered primitive. The sleeping giant hadn't just awakened, it had reshaped the rules of galactic warfare forever. The neutral meeting station hung in space between Earth and the Empire's capital world. Built specifically for these historic peace talks, its design combined both imperial and human architecture, a symbol of the changes coming to the galaxy. Inside the grand meeting chamber, Admiral Walker stood at the window, watching ships from both sides patrol the neutral zone. Behind him, General Williams studied the Imperial delegation entering the room. They looked different now, Williams noted quietly. Less proud, more cautious. Walker nodded. Fear does that. But we're not here to humble them further. We're here to build something new. The Imperial High Commander approached, his once elaborate uniform now simple and practical, a change that hadn't gone unnoticed. His staff followed, carrying data tablets showing the full extent of human military innovations over the past 6 months. Before we begin, the High Commander said, his translator converting his words, I must know. How did your species advance so quickly? Our best ships, our strongest weapons. You took them and made them better in weeks. Walker gestured to the human delegation's technical team, led by Project Prometheus's human interface. We had help. Your technology was impressive, but static, unchanged for centuries. We asked questions you stopped asking long ago. How can this be better? What if we tried something new? The peace conference began with both sides sharing their terms. The Empire had expected harsh demands from the victors. Instead, they found themselves facing something more surprising. Reasonable proposals for cooperation. We don't want to destroy the Empire, Walker explained to the assembled delegates. We want to help it evolve. Your stability helped the galaxy in many ways. But stability without adaptation is just stagnation. The Imperial scientists were particularly interested in Project Prometheus. The AI system had revolutionized warfare, but its real value was in solving complex problems and driving innovation. Your empire has ruled through strength, the AI's interface explained. Humanity survived through adaptation. Together, we could do more than either of us could alone. As the days passed, a new galactic order took shape. The Empire would continue, but transformed. No longer would it simply demand submission from new species. Instead, it would evaluate each civilization's unique strengths. We were wrong about primitive species, the High Commander admitted during the final session. We thought advancement could only happen one way. Our way. Humanity showed us how dangerous that thinking was. The treaty they finally signed became known as the Walker Accord. Its terms would reshape galactic civilization. 1. All sentient species would have the right to develop independently. 2. The empire would shift from conquerors to peacekeepers. 3. Human innovation would be shared, helping modernize imperial worlds. 4. A new council would be formed, representing all species. 5. Project Prometheus would help guide controlled technological advancement. As the delegates prepared to depart, a young imperial officer approached Walker. The Empire's children are asking questions now about how humans fight, how you think, how you change so quickly. Some are scared. Walker smiled. Good. A little fear is healthy. It keeps you thinking, keeps you improving. But tell them this, humans don't just know war. We also know peace. We've learned the value of both. Back on Earth, celebrations marked the end of humanity's first interstellar conflict. But in the underground command center, work continued. The Empire might have learned its lesson, but the galaxy was vast. Other threats might emerge. Will they remember? General Williams asked, watching the final peace ceremony. Will they remember why we warned them to run? Walker looked at the tactical display, showing human ships already helping modernize Imperial defenses. They'll remember. And next time someone discovers a primitive species, they'll remember Earth. They'll remember what happened when the Empire didn't run. Project Prometheus's final analysis flashed on the screen. Probability of lasting peace, 87.3%. Probability of improved galactic civilization, 92.1%. Humanity's first galactic war has ended, beginning calculations for future scenarios. As the sun set on humanity's first day as a recognized galactic power, Admiral Walker raised a glass with his staff. They had warned the Empire to run. The Empire hadn't listened. But from that mistake, a better future would emerge, one where strength came not from power alone, but from the ability to adapt, to change, and to grow. The sleeping giant was awake, and the galaxy would never be the same.